I'm a future criminal barrister and I'm going to explain the sentencing of Sousa Abreu. These are the facts of the case. Sousa was a 31-year-old prison guard at HMP Wandsworth who engaged in sexual activity with one of the prisoners. When the acts began, she took off her radio and consented for another prisoner to record the acts. The recording lasts 4.5 minutes and it includes Sousa giving the prisoner oral sex and having vaginal intercourse. The judge accepted that Sousa didn't intend for the video to be uploaded to the internet, however it was, and the harm that has flown from that she is still responsible for. Once arrested, Sousa gave a prepared statement at the police station, essentially accusing the two prisoners of raping her. Subsequently, she made it clear that these statements provided were false. Turning to the sentence now. Sousa pleaded guilty at the first Crown Court hearing, which is known as the PTPH, or the Plea and Trial Preparation Hearing, meaning she receives a 25% discount on whatever the sentence would have been after trial. As there's no sentencing guidelines for this offence, the judge had to first consider the harm and then the culpability of this offence. Factors relevant to harm are as follows. There was a significant risk to the good order of the prison. The act made Sousa vulnerable to coercion from the prisoners involved. Sousa left her radio and keys at risk while she was involved in the acts. Female officers at HMP Wandsworth were open to abuse and harassment from other prisoners, with the judge noting them as, quote, fair game, end quote. Prison officers have faced heckling and harassment from the viral online video. The judge summarises the harm by saying, quote, the level of harm is high, indeed very high, end quote. Turning to culpability, which means how culpable, how responsible the offender is for their actions, Sousa was a, quote, intelligent and insightful, end quote, person. She must have understood the need to maintain professional relationships in her role. Sousa was diagnosed with a severe borderline personality disorder, which when combined with her ADHD makes her highly impulsive. The behaviour was not a brief lapse of judgment as it happened on multiple occasions over the course of at least a week. The judge did conclude that her mental disorder was a significant factor in her offending. Taking this into account and comparing it to the previous case law, the judge arrived at a starting point of 24 months. As with the other cases I've covered, the judge then has to take the starting point and consider the aggravating factors, things that make the offence more serious, and the mitigating factors, the things that make the offence less serious. Dealing first with the aggravating factors, there are 3 offences that took place over a period of a few days. Sousa was only charged with 1 offence, but she asked for 2 other offences which she admitted to be taken into consideration so she can be sentenced all at once for her criminal acts. The second aggravating factor is that she made those false accusations against the prisoners. The mitigating factors are as follows. Sousa is of effective good character, having no previous convictions or run-ins with the police before. Sousa was clearly remorseful, with letters from her husband and family detailing this. Sousa has a background of traumatic events. Sousa also has a 7-year-old child, therefore immediate custody when she goes directly to prison from sentencing would adversely affect this child. The judge also noted that given her background, time in prison will be particularly hard for her, and female prisons are currently full with their mental health services completely and utterly over capacity. The judge arrived at a final sentence of 20 months, reducing the 24-month starting point due to the mitigating factors, and this 20 months was further reduced to 15 months on account of the early guilty plea, warranting a quarter reduction, 20 down to 15 months. As the sentence is one that's under 2 years, the judge could have decided to suspend the sentence. What this means is that the defendant would essentially spend their sentence in the community with a number of orders attached, like a community order, but if they did further offend, then the judge could recall them and activate a certain amount of that sentence to send them to prison for that original sentence. However, in this case, the judge decided to not suspend Sousa's sentence. Accordingly, Sousa will spend 7.5 months in prison before spending the rest of her term on licence in the community. What do you think of the sentencing in this particular case?